When we reviewed the Navara a few months ago, the Pro 4X, many of you asked for a mid or low grade model as a follow-up review. That's what we have now, even though it doesn't look like a mid or low grade model. This is a 2021 Nissan Navara VE 4x2 automatic. So this one sits mostly as a mid to somewhat low-grade model in the Navara range. If you're familiar with the Pro 4X, you can tell that there are a few differences right off the bat. So for example, instead of piano black, you get more chrome. Even on the door handles, those are chrome. You do lose the underriders or the cladding for the wheel wells, but that's okay. It's really aesthetic anyway. You do retain the underrider in front, and that actually looks pretty good. It does lose that orange trim, but that's all right as well. But in terms of downgrades, they didn't really downgrade it in terms of functionality from the outside. Yes, you do lose the roof rails up top, but that's okay. You do retain the quad LED headlamps as well as LED fog lamps. Pretty cool. There's also a few more things here, like that rectangle over there, but we'll get to that later. Now from this angle, there's not really much different apart from the wheel design, and that's really it. Chrome door handles, side steps, all these are present in the Navara VE. But if you look underneath, that's when you spot more differences. It's not really that obvious. For example, the rear suspension has changed. There are some adjustments that Nissan made with the geometry here in the back, as well as the new dual rate coil springs. Those do make a big difference, and we'll explain why later when we drive it. This one still has the Calibre decal right here on the truck bed. We've asked Nissan many times before what Calibre means, but they never really gave us an answer. When you open the bed, you'll see that the VE does not have a bed liner, but that's okay because the Pro 4X doesn't have a bed liner either. What this version loses is the Utilitrack system right here, which is available on the Pro 4X and even the VL variant. This one does not come with that, but that's okay. You do have 4 tie-down points positioned all around the bed. In terms of measurements, this one is 60 inches long and 61 inches wide from the widest point. In terms of height, that is where actually the difference is, because in front, the height is about 20 inches from the bed. In the rear, it's 21 inches from the bottom to the top. What that creates is kind of an angle. So we wanted to show that, which is why I brought my digital protractor. If you put it down on the bed and then you zero it, and then you put it up top here, what you get is an angle of 0.8 degrees relative to the bed. So it kind of slopes or inclines upward. So that means when you load stuff, it'll look actually better because it won't sag when it comes to loading cargo and driving out on the road. And also, when it comes to pulling up the tailgate, this one has a helper spring. So Nissan did make a few nice changes here in the back. It still has the dual AC vents for the rear passengers, but they changed this part right here, especially under here. There's a little pocket along with a USB charging port. Gone is the cup holder on the floor and the umbrella holder, but they did add a center armrest with dual cup holders. These seats are actually also new because they changed the profile of the foam here. They made it a bit longer and a bit taller, making it more comfortable for long drives. Also, it lifts up in one piece. It's not latched on like many of the other competitor models. And you get the 2 compartments under here for tools and stuff. In this case, vanity plates. So one thing Nissan didn't add to this version is that it doesn't come with the grab handles here like other models. Instead, to get in, you gotta use this. So here in front, well, there are a few changes, but not really that much. For example, steering wheel is new. It's the new kind that we've seen on the Pro 4X as well as the new Terra. The instrument cluster has changed with a new, nicer multi-info display system. Seat fabric is different because the higher grade models, they usually come with leather. The center stack, it hasn't changed much actually. The only real difference here is that this one comes with automatic climate control, which my VL does not even have. Instead of four-wheel drive buttons there and controls, it has a nice pocket there. It's pretty useful. The center stack, the center area here hasn't changed much. No buttons there, cup holders are the same. Enough talk, let's go drive it. And we have to use a key. So if last week I was a little bit annoyed that I had to review the car in the rain, well, this time it's worse. We've got Tropical Storm Jolina. If you're looking at the Navara from a purely design point of view when it comes to the interior, well, you may not be impressed because Nissan didn't change anything in terms of just aesthetics with the cabin. The dashboard is still the same. But what's important is that it retains and even enhances some of the functionality that I really like with the Navara. I like that there's a tray here with a 12-volt outlet. You get more USB ports. The new steering wheel, I've already mentioned this in previous reviews of the Navara and the Terra. I like this version better. The important thing when it comes to a work truck, if you are going to use it as a work truck, is that it's really easy to clean. All you need is a clean rag, couple of wipes, and you're good. One of the key factors that convinced me to get a Navara in 2020 are actually the front seats. These are zero-G seats. Now, there are those that say that, ay, marketing gimmick lang yan. No. If you actually drive one for a few hours every day, whether you're going long distances or spending long hours in traffic, you will feel the difference. It's a lot more comfortable, there's less fatigue. Easily, the zero-G seats are the best in the class in my opinion. And thankfully, even though this is a VE, a lower grade variant, it has them, minus the leather. This VE actually drives very nicely. The steering system has been changed. It feels lighter, but it's not electronic power steering light. Keep that in mind. So nothing really to report there in terms of night and day change. But the big change is when it comes to the suspension. With the front suspension, it's actually pretty much the same. It's pretty comfortable. But the big change is with the back. Now, instead of the single rate springs that they had before with the 2020 model and older, the springs in the back are now dual rate. What that means is basically it's two springs in one. You have a softer spring to absorb little bumps, like right now we're on concrete. It feels great. It's okay. But when you hit a bigger bump, that's when you do feel that it is a bit stiffer because it goes onto the stiffer part of the spring. Since this VE is a 4x2 and doesn't come with the weight penalty of the 4x4 and the extra features, what you get is a truck that weighs 1,910 kilos. Compared to the Pro 4X with all the bells and whistles, that one, it weighs in at 2011. So it's a 101 kilo difference. That's pretty big, and you can feel it when you drive the car around because, well, not the car, the truck. Because when you punch the throttle, well, it just goes a little bit more quickly. I was averaging 8.5 kilometers per liter in the city, average speed of around 20 kilometers per hour. So it's actually a little bit better than the 4x4. On the highway, it goes up even more to around 13.5 kilometers per liter. So pretty good. The biggest advantage of this version of the Navara is the cargo carrying capability. Because the reduced weight plus the improved rear suspension means this Navara is rated for 1,043 kilos passengers and cargo. That's actually the best in the entire Navara range. Now, when it comes to towing, Nissan Philippines doesn't really release those figures officially, not that I know of anyway, but Nissan Australia does, because towing is a bigger thing in Australia. And since our vehicles, both for the Philippine market and the Australian market, are pretty much the same and come from the same factory with the same engines, if you match the right variant with the right engine, you can get a good idea of what this can pull. So, if we do that, this Navara should be able to pull a trailer, an unbraked trailer, that weighs a total of 750 kilos, trailer plus the cargo, whatever is on it. For a brake trailer, meaning the one you hook up to your braking system to be able to assist with the braking, well, this one can pull a total of 3,500 kilos. But the question is, do I feel shortchanged? Do I feel bitin with the Navara? The answer to that is no. I think Nissan did a very good job in selecting which features they can take out without degrading the Navara experience or downgrading the Navara experience. That is what they accomplished here. I mean, you still get cruise control, you get climate control, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, the audio system, nicer steering wheel audio controls, and quite a few more things. You do lose a lot of the Nissan intelligent mobility features, like the 360 camera, rear cross traffic alert, but that's okay because they retained one very important feature, and that is the forward collision warning and the intelligent emergency braking. Let's demonstrate that for you. So in any other truck, if you get distracted, like if someone waves at you, it's like, hey, someone you know, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna hit something. Like that. But with the Navara, you have intelligent emergency braking to catch you if you fall. At 1,336,000 pesos, the Navara VE 4x2 automatic is at the high side of the spectrum compared to its direct competitors. The question now, is it worth it? Well, I think so. Because even though it's technically a mid/low grade variant of the Navara range, well, it doesn't look mid or low grade to me. Even with the interior, yes, you lose the leather seats, a few of the nice things, but you still get same infotainment, same steering wheel, cruise control, climate control, and a lot of other good stuff. Now, I am critical of Nissan when it comes to the gearbox, particularly in third gear and fourth gear at city speeds, but we'll give them a pass for it because they did upgrade the VE with the more powerful version of the 2.5 liter. The older EL only had the lower power version of the 2.5. They did make some nice changes with the rear, but take note, it is a compromise. The previous Navara, the pre-facelift, it's still more comfortable overall, but this one, they tried to balance it out when it comes to cargo capability, as well as on-road comfort. So it's up to you to figure out if that is the kind of truck that fits you. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the Navara VE and whether Nissan has a hit with this variant. This is Vince of AutoIndustriya.com. Thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and even on Twitter.